Well, let's take you here now. The search for a group of congregants swept away in Bramley at the Jukskei River on a Saturday continues. Emergency services have recovered a total of 9 bodies since activating its search and rescue operations. The congregants are believed to have drowned during a baptism in Bramley Park along the river. Our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa is covering the rescue operations and joins us now. Mbalenhle, thank you so much for your time. Now, earlier, of course, officials were briefing the media just in terms of the extent of the search and rescue mission. And I understand that family members are also at the scene. Talk to us about what's been happening.
Well, speaking of family members, I've just been speaking to some of them, and they have made a request, and they're asking the officials here to at least give them or show them pictures of their loved ones. They say many of them have traveled or come from far, and they will need to then give a report when they arrive or when they go back home. And after waiting from the early hours of this morning, they are asking for some answer. So this is a request and a plea from devastated family members for answers and an opportunity to see their loved ones and to confirm that their loved ones have indeed died after they were swept away in that flash flood that took place yesterday.
Mbalenhle, I can imagine that the mood is very somber, as you said in your earlier report. Do we know at this stage just how many children were involved in the ceremony?
Well, I've just received confirmation that one of the children who died yesterday was a 3-year-old child. This is very heartbreaking. In the earlier crossing, I spoke about a young lady who was devastated, who broke down in tears to the point of fainting, really, and creating a very tragic and somber mood right here, where it seemed as though it became the reality of losing a mother or losing the person that you had come here hoping, to find alive and to take back home, or even go to a hospital to meet up with them, and that faith and that hope then fading away. That's what happened when some of the family members were told just a little bit earlier on that they should expect and prepare for the worst. It's unclear if the young lady has lost a mother and a sibling, or a mother and a child, but we do understand that she had lost a mother as well as a young child.
Now, we saw you speaking to a mayoral committee member earlier. In terms of support, especially for the families that are congregated there, what sort of support are they getting? And will the officials actually heed the calls of the family members in terms of the help that they need to see their loved ones?
Well, it's unclear if they are going to get to see or get the help that they want. But, a little bit earlier on, when you spoke to some of the family members, one of their biggest concerns was a lack of information. And they had arrived as early as 7 a.m. And, this is not the only stop that we had come to today. There's another one where the search and rescue mission was indeed taking place. There was a group of families that had waited there for answers, and when we got here we found another group that was concerned over the lack of information and that they had not been informed as to what was happening and on the progression of these search and rescue missions, and they were somewhat devastated or just anxious to know what's happening. And when the information started trickling in at just after midday, they then started feeling a sense of hope, but that sense of hope soon faded away on the news that the chances of rescuing and finding the victims of that flash flood alive are very slim to nothing. I'm going to try and speak to some of the family members, and one of the family members here, Sanbonani Ninjani. Siyaphila. Nisuka kude ngempela futhi ngiyazi ukuthi mhlambe kufanele niphinde futhi nisho ekhaya ukuthi kuhamba njani. Bathini mhlambe sebekhulumile nani?
Yeah, sibakhulumile nathi asazi thina ukuthi laba balimele ukuthi nje nethi asikakababoni nabantwana noma bakhona laba ade sinabo lapha noma bakhona la noma bekho asinalwazi manje sibuhlungu ukuthi sefuna sijike sibuyele emuva singazange ukuthi labantwana batholakele or abatholakalanga.
Yini engafisa ukuthi niyenze mhlambe kuthiwa khona abalimele yini noma mhlambe angazi
khona bangabonakali kumanje nje asimazi lo mntwana noma ukhona la engikhonza naye asimazi noma ukhona la or akekho. Manje sithi sicela ukuthi sizeni phela ukuthi noma nisishuthele bona ke ngamunye nisishuthele nje bona bonke sikwazi ukuthi nisedluliseleke la kithi ukuthi hayi sibone ukuthi labo bantu bakhona sikwazi nathi ukubuyisela i-report back ukuthi hayi abantwana bakhona simtholile lo muntu ukhona lapha. Ilokho nje sokusiphethe kabe asazi sihleli nje ukuthi sihlelele ini asinalwazi.
There you have it, one of the family members growing impatient with the wait and not knowing if their loved ones or their friends and family are among those who are kept inside here. We understand that they do the search and rescue mission continues, and we've seen a number of ambulances and vehicles just coming in and out, and it's unclear if they are bringing in more people to be identified or if they're just continuing, or this is part of the normal operations that usually take place here.
Now, obviously, at a time like this, just from the point of the officials, specifically from the recovery teams, you would want to see some form of jock being established from an emergency vantage point. Do you see any of the senior members there? Is the mayor there, for instance?
Well, the MMC that was here on behalf of the mayor, and you would have heard the EMS spokesperson Robert Malawuzi referring to the councillor as the acting executive mayor. But in a conversation off camera, he did mention that the mayor could potentially come in later on, maybe sometime during the week, but they did make a vow to provide some form of support for the families that are here, be it psychosocial services, but they have vowed to provide some form of assistance to the residents or the people who are here.
Mbalenhle, thank you so much.
But also, just before...
No, continue, Mbalenhle.
I'm sorry, but Unati, just before I hand back to you, there have been officials coming to speak to the people here and the family members here. There is some form of communication going on in terms of getting details. We would have seen a clipboard doing the rounds here, getting people's names and surnames as well as their residential addresses. It's unclear what that was for, but it seems as though there is communication. And based on our observation and the interactions between the officials and the family members, it seems as though they are trying to prepare the families for the worst. You would have heard Robert Mulawuzi during that briefing saying that they've tried to speak to families and just inform them that chances of their loved ones being found alive are slim or next to nothing. Unati, I've lost communication with studio, so I'm just going to hand back over to you and hope you can still hear me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mbalenhle Mthethwa. Of course, this is a developing story there. 9 congregants who were swept away at the Jukskei River during a baptism ceremony last night. Their bodies have been retrieved, 2 yesterday and 7 today. 8 people presumed drowned are still to be found. Of course, search and rescue missions are continuing, and Mbali just giving us an update there in terms of what the family is saying, getting very little information at this stage, but we do understand that search is going to continue. Perhaps they will stop sometime tonight, but it is a developing story. We will give you, updates as and when Mbalenhle retrieves them. A very tragic incident there that has transpired, and will definitely keep you up to date.